March 2nd, 2024. Robert Hayes was sitting on his front porch at 6:47 in the morning, drinking coffee that had gone cold an hour ago, staring at foreclosure papers he'd read so many times he had them memorized. 61 years old, farmed the same 220 acres in rural Tennessee his entire life, and in exactly 19 days, the bank was taking it all. The coffee tasted like ash in his mouth. Then he heard the trucks. Not one truck, not two. Dozens of diesel engines rumbling up his gravel driveway like a mechanical army. Robert stood up slowly and walked to the edge of the porch. What he saw made him think he was having a stroke. Semi-trucks. Flatbed after flatbed stretching down his driveway and out onto the county road as far as he could see. Each one carrying brand new John Deere tractors, gleaming green and yellow in the early morning sun. The lead truck pulled up to his barn and a man climbed out carrying a clipboard. "Mr. Robert Hayes?" Robert couldn't speak, just nodded. "Sir, I've got a delivery for you. 100 John Deere 6155R tractors. Where would you like us to unload them?" The world tilted sideways. Robert grabbed the porch railing to stay standing. "There's been a mistake," he managed. "I didn't order any tractors. I don't have money for—" "No mistake, sir. Order was placed 4 weeks ago. Fully paid in advance, cash. All 100 units." "Paid by who?" The driver shrugged. "Don't have that information. My paperwork just says, delivery to Robert Hayes. This address. Payment confirmed. That's all I know." "How much?" "Sir, I just deliver. But if I had to guess, 100 brand new 6,155 rupees? You're looking at somewhere north of $12 million. $12 million. Robert's entire farm, all 220 acres, the house, the barn, every piece of equipment he owned, was worth maybe $700,000 on a good day. Someone had just given him $12 million in tractors. By the way, if you're new here, welcome to Farm Details. Hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss a story like this one. Now, back to Robert. "There's an envelope," the driver said, pulling a sealed manila envelope from his clipboard. "Came with the delivery instructions. Says to give it to you personally." Robert took it with trembling hands. His name was written on the front in handwriting he didn't recognize. By 9:30 that morning, all 100 tractors were lined up in Robert's south field in perfect rows. The delivery crews got their signatures and left, and Robert was alone. He opened the envelope slowly. Inside, a single sheet of paper, a handwritten note. "Robert, you saved my life 41 years ago when I had nothing. You gave me a job, a place to sleep, and a chance when everyone else turned me away. You told me kindness matters more than money. You were right. These tractors are paid for. They're yours. No strings, no payback required. You don't remember me, but I never forgot you. Thank you for teaching me what it means to be a good man." The note wasn't signed. Robert read it 3 times. Then he started crying. Deep, body-shaking sobs that came from somewhere he didn't know still existed. He spent the next week trying to remember. Who had he helped 41 years ago, back in 1983? He'd been 20, newly married to Carol, working on his father's struggling farm, barely keeping things afloat. He called old friends, pulled out photo albums, made lists of names. Nothing felt right. Then on the 6th day, Carol found it, an old journal from their first year of marriage. She sat down at the kitchen table and read him one entry. August 9th, 1983. Bobby brought home a stray today. A boy named James, 17 years old, homeless, walking the roads looking for work. Bobby gave him a job and the bunkhouse out back, even though we can barely pay ourselves. I love my husband's heart, even when it terrifies me. Robert stared at the page, and suddenly, he could see him. Skinny kid, sunburned, half-starved, standing in their driveway with a backpack that had been dragged through a ditch, asking if there was any work, any kind at all. Said he'd been kicked out of his home in Kentucky, sleeping in barns and under bridges for 2 months. Robert had been about to say no, but something in that kid's eyes stopped him. Desperation mixed with determination. The look of someone who needed this, not just wanted it. So Robert fed him lunch, gave him $35 a week and the bunkhouse. And James worked harder than anyone Robert had ever seen. Up before dawn, out past dark, learning equipment, never once complaining through the hottest Tennessee summer in years. When he left in October, he shook Robert's hand with tears on his face. "You saved my life, Mr. Hayes. I mean that literally." Robert had waved it off. "You worked hard. You earned every penny." "It wasn't about the money," James had said. "It was about you treating me like I mattered. Nobody else did that." And then he walked down the driveway with his backpack, and Robert Hayes never saw or heard from him again. Until now. Robert searched online. James Mitchell, Tennessee, technology. The second result stopped his breath. James Mitchell, founder and CEO of Mitchell Systems, valued at $3.8 billion. A Wikipedia page loaded. Professional photo, silver hair, confident smile. Robert stared at that face, trying to find the skinny 17-year-old inside it. James had left in 1983 with nothing, worked his way through community college, earned a scholarship, and in 1992 started a software company in a one-room apartment with $4,000 in savings. Agricultural technology, farm management systems. Designed, he always said, by someone who actually understood farmers. $3.8 billion. Built on a foundation that started in Robert Hayes' bunkhouse. Robert called the attorney and said the name out loud. "I think it's James Mitchell." A long pause. "Mr. Hayes, my client said when you remembered, you'd understand exactly why this mattered." James arrived on a Saturday. Modest pickup truck. No driver, no assistant, just him. When Robert saw him step out, silver-haired but those same eyes, 41 years collapsed into nothing. They stood in the driveway. No words. Then James crossed the distance and hugged Robert like a drowning man, both of them crying in that Tennessee farmyard. "You gave me dignity when I had none," James finally said. "My stepfather said I'd never amount to anything. I'd been sleeping under bridges, and then you fed me, paid me, treated me like I mattered." His voice broke. "Do you remember what you said when I thanked you? You said, 'Everyone deserves a chance, James. You just needed someone to give you one.' I carried those words for 41 years. I built my entire life on them." He placed a certified check on the porch railing. $2 million. "The tractors keep you farming. This gives you freedom. To help others the way you helped me." Robert didn't keep it all. He sold 60 tractors, combined the money with James's check, and created the Second Chance Farm Fund for farmers in his county facing foreclosure. In 6 months, 9 families stayed on their land. Everyone received the same note. "Someone helped me when I had nothing. Now I'm helping you. When you're able, help someone else." The ripples spread. A saved farm, a job for a veteran, medical bills paid, a food bank fed. Families who had nothing had something. All of it traced back to one afternoon in 1983, when Robert Hayes saw a hungry kid in his driveway and decided to make him a sandwich. Robert told the story publicly that October. 200 farmers stood up when he finished. A kid asked him, "Mr. Hayes, what's the lesson?" Kindness is never wasted. James was just a hungry kid I fed and gave a job to. I didn't think it mattered, but it changed his entire life. And his life changed thousands of others. Help people when you can. Treat them like they matter, because you never know whose life you might save, or when that hungry kid in your driveway becomes the person who saves you 40 years later. If this story moved you, share it with someone today. Subscribe to Farm Details and hit the bell. We bring you stories like this every week. See you in the next one.